Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna Samsara, with episode 174. So we're going to give you, I'm giving you this week's little astro highlights, and one of which, the big star, of course, is the new moon on Tuesday. So where we start. This week, we've got I'm calling this episode Grace Amidst the Pressure Cooker, play and grace amidst the pressure cooker. So there's some intense stuff, but there's also really good stuff, and it's making it it's a powerful moon, and I know we can use it wisely. I know there's a lot of turmoil going on right now with Roe Wade. I'm reaching out to some of my fellow astrologers to talk about this, probably the next episode, but just wanted you to know that, the signature of all that is occurring right now in the United States with the loss of one of our constitutional rights is definitely alive and at play here with this new moon, with this week, and with this new moon. And there's also, there's also a divine grace. So we're going to talk about all of that. Okay, so, this week we have, what's really great about this week is that we have Venus and Jupiter. Well, let me just say that Venus and Mercury are playing together this week. They're both in the sign of Gemini. And so that gives a very playful and curious, inquisitive spirit to our connections, our socializing. It's, great for socializing. It's great for reaching out. It's great for connecting and assisting one another, maybe with shopping, travel concerns. I would think it's a great time to buy, equipment, get a good deal on things in the marketplace, especially like with Mercury and Gemini, loving things like mechanical things, so computers or, any kind of equipment, machinery, cars, bicycles, you'd probably get a great deal on a bicycle if you were to, be in the market for one. So yes, and I think too about like enjoyment, Venus is about the pleasure of life and, fun and good times. And so it takes in the sign of Gemini, it's like, let's be curious and check out things that we've never had fun with before, like, for instance, I'm thinking of like a pinball machine, just something, when you think Mercury, how he darts around and it's this busyness and it's like bing, bong, boom, go here, go there, go here, it's like Quicksilver, it's everywhere. And it's like the little silver pinball in the pinball machine that kind of bounces around, so that could be the spirit of how we socialize and have fun this week. And it could actually be, hey, go play a pinball game. In the days before video, hey kids, there was one time there wasn't an internet, and we actually had fun and video with video, I keep saying video arcades, the old-fashioned arcades, with pinball machines and the pinball wizard. And if you don't know what a pinball is, look it up. So anyway, yeah, so just to say that it's certainly, and here we are heading into the holiday weekend, so that's nice, because we definitely need that right now. And the assistance and the grace and all. Jupiter is also, Venus is coming into a sextile, which will be there for the new moon, into a sextile, which is a very positive aspect with the planet Jupiter in the sign of Aries. So there's this aspect of assistance, divine blessing. Venus and Jupiter are both the benefics, the lesser and the greater benefic. And so they are conspiring, to bring goodness and ease and grace. So, and I would say empowerment, with Jupiter being the law and things, and Aries, in the sign of Aries, it's like standing up and being strong. You think of the protesters across the country right now, they're standing up and they're speaking up about having their rights taken away. And so is this a very serious matter? Absolutely. Is there a bigger picture involved? Yes, there is. I've been meditating on it. I need to meditate some more. I'd like to, and I'm going to be bringing on we'll have guests that will address this. where, you know, how do we find our way through this in terms of ourselves, our future, the divine feminine. You know, this is definitely a time where we are strong in our way of being, but not like the strength, the way in which we've traditionally thought of strength. There's a different paradigm of strength emerging, and I think this is a long process. But anyway, just to say though that Jupiter sextile Venus is going to be prevailing. It'll really build from now, you know, for Sunday through Wednesday, but it'll still be in effect into Friday, the 1st of July, for the July 4th weekend. So Venus and Mercury playing together, Jupiter, you know, bonifying, you know, not bonifying, sextiling that. So again, lending its support. All right, and then Tuesday, June 28th, we have Neptune, the planet of dreams and fantasy, glamour, illusion, delusion, but also divine inspiration and devotion, you know, like the Bhakti. I always say Neptune's like the Bhakti planet for me. Neptune is going to station retrograde. So it's been at this stationary degree point for some time. It's 25 degrees of Pisces. So Neptune is in his own domicile, and this is a very, very long, slow slog, right? It's almost as long as Pluto, right? Because it's next to Pluto. So when Neptune retrogrades, it's about 6 months. So it's going to be direct. It'll stop it. It's at 25 Pisces, and then it'll go direct at 22 Pisces in early December. What do I want to say about that? Well, you know, since Neptune and Pluto spend half the year in retrograde, it's not that obvious a thing as it is, say, Mercury or Mars or the personal planets. However, Neptune, let's take a look. You know, Neptune is about, like I said, dreams and things. And when it's in retrograde, we're really checking in with ourselves about, you know, have we overestimated ourselves? Have we underestimated ourselves? Especially when it comes down to like having faith and having confidence and having, you know, a divine, I'm hearing, you know, a divine sense of purpose. And, you know, never underestimate the hand of the divine. And maybe there's a revealing and a journey that we take in these next 6 months when Neptune, which is that dreamy gas planet, you know, one of the gas giants, when it steps in with the direction of the sun, we're getting an even higher level of mystical downloads in concert with, you know, perhaps a reality check, like, hey, you know what, it's okay to be real. It's okay to be real about our highest aspirations, and maybe we need to do some correcting there. Like there are things that are clearly not going to work, you know, where we overestimate, and it's okay to be real about that, or underestimate. You know, don't ever underestimate, you know, the power of our imagination, of our creativity. Neptune rules Hollywood, so it's, you know, all systems go. You know, this is the divine wants us to check in with ourselves. It's a natural process of life, the ebb and the flow. So when a planet is retrograde, it's ebbing. We're going on this very deep cosmic journey, and we're going to be looking at, you know, a fantasy reality check. Have we deceived ourselves about our abilities? And whatever area that Neptune is retrograding in your chart is the area of your life where you're really examining reality versus fantasy. So, you know, deception, or, you know, are we defrauding ourselves? Are we real, you know, being real about it? So that's our Neptune retrograde. All right, so the same day, only about, well, depending on, I'm looking at Eastern time zones, about 7 hours later, we get the new moon. So the new moon is in the sign of Cancer, 7 degrees. And it's interesting, we have 777. We have the sun and the moon, 7 degrees Cancer. We have Jupiter at 7 degrees Aries, and we have Venus at 7 degrees Gemini. So it's interesting, there's 777. Lucky number 7, that 7 is the number of creation, right? Like 3 plus 4. It's the Trinity, it's the the divine, you know, logos, and then there's the four, the material realm. So the marriage of matter and spirit. And so the new moon is at 10:52 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday evening, the 28th, and it would be the next morning in the, you know, further east in Europe and such. And so this is obviously Cancer, the domiciles of the moon. So the sun in Cancer is in the domicile of the moon. So our emotions, our women, food, bodies, nurturing, healing, you know, wombs, fertility, children, the fertility of who we are, not necessarily physically, literally fertility, although it certainly includes that, but you know, what's coming into question, and where do we get to explore? Where is the light, you know, where is the light of our consciousness, of our collective consciousness is shining on? Well, it's shining on these things: healing and bonding and comfort and emotions and the home and the family and the mother and being mothered, mothering others, our sense of comfort, how we relieve ourselves of stress, our physical bodies. These are all moon related, our health. And so, you know, it's very clear that these are very loud subjects right now, with Roe Wade having been overturned, on everyone's mind, regardless of gender. It has to be, right? It's right there in front of us. Interestingly enough, in the US chart, let me go, hold on, let me pull that up. Okay, so here we see the US chart. In the US chart, here it is, we have the sun natally in the Sibley chart in the 8th house. And here's the sun and the moon, 7 degrees, 7 degrees. You're on Venus in Gemini, 7 degrees, and here's Jupiter. And so what's interesting with the US chart is, notice how this new moon is really falling right within range of Venus, co-present with Venus, women, right? Jupiter conjunct Venus, women, 3 degrees, 7, 5, Jupiter, the law, right? And doing the right thing. And then here is the new moon. And we also have Lilith. This symbol here is Lilith. It's an asteroid Lilith, and it has to do with the outrageously raw feminine, divine feminine, like the like la femme sauvage, the wild woman. And that is, that's at 10 degrees. The USA sun, 13 degrees. And here's Ceres. This is the planet, this is the minor planet of agriculture and feeding and nurturing and food and mothering. This is all Ceres, right? The nurturing aspect. So all of this is interesting, right? As what's happening right now in the country. It's all really ganged up in that 8th house. So there is this death and renewal. There is this breakdown, and there's this letting go of old survival patterns, and which is so 8th house, where unconsciousness comes to the surface and where we get to regenerate ourselves. So we have this outrageous lineup. I also find it fascinating that natally, the United States has Lilith in the 12th house at 14 degrees of Scorpio. So natally, now what does this say? You know, the philosophical, the delineation of this in opposition, not by degree, but by sign, with Vesta. What is that? This is the Vesta represents where we are devoted. What are we devoted to, such that we would sacrifice, you know, our normal lifestyle, like the Vestal virgins in Roman mythology. They tended the sacred flame, and it was all about this devotion to something bigger than themselves, where they would give up like their normal attachments to the world. Well, with Vesta in Taurus, Venus ruled Taurus. This is the United States. It's here, 6th house. It's been a struggle for women. In you know, when we founded this country, it's like there's this devotion to the divine feminine. There's this devotion to the earth. There's this devotion to the sense world, except that in the 6th, with the opposition with Lilith, it's almost like we have to, here's the potential to get rid of our shame. around sexuality, around any kind of subject that we consider secret or taboo or shamefulness, about feeling, right? Feeling and feeling our goddessness, feeling and feeling our self-worth, and not and embracing the shadow parts of ourselves, so we are not like made victims. We can, through effort, we can mend this very powerfully. Now, what's nice is that we have Uranus on that coming up, and it'll conjunct that around early August, exact conjunction, but it's already very loud. And so here it is in that opposition. So here, this speaks very loudly to devotion to the divine feminine, and to healing, and to letting go of subconscious patterns. I was just reading that women, right as we speak right now, they've been gathering around the country, sharing their rape stories, so this rolling back of our constitutional right is bringing up all this incredible connection. Women are connecting in ways they had not in a very long time, or maybe ever, because when have our rights been rolled back? It's unprecedented what is happening right now. But like I said, we want to step outside the box and look at it in a larger perspective. And if we can just see that the grace of people connecting across any kind of barrier and coming together, right? The Uranus thing is about the unity and diversity, and finding that shared ground, Uranus and Taurus, right? Shared ground through which we can build something new. Pretty amazing, right? So that's what's going on with the US chart. So this is all really loud this month, this new moon. But what's really nice, and this is what I like about this new moon, the greatest thing that we can say about it is that, Jupiter, here's the planet Jupiter, is in this exact square to the degree with the new moon. And so this is called bonification in ancient astrology. Bon, like the word bon in French, is good. So it's making good. It's creating beneficence here. And so it's lending, it's there is this divine, I would say maybe divine will, to overcome any challenge and to stand strong and in one's sovereignty, and allowing that to empower us and give us hope and faith and optimism around embracing our divine feminine self, our divine purpose, and seeing the bigger picture, connecting with our intuitive skills, and allowing that to guide us and to create new ground. With Aries, it's a cardinal sign, right? And this is a cardinal sign, it's a cardinal new moon. This is a change going on with the law and with our sense of truth, what is true with the movement, the transit of Jupiter in Aries. What is true for us? What is true for our bodies? What is our goal? Where do we want to, make new paths? And so this is a really powerful new moon for that. I would say too, the Jupiter sextile Venus is very nice, with that. This is going to help us through this cycle, for this next month. And again, the two benefics, that's terrific. Terrific news, for women coming together. Here's an example. You probably heard on the news that women are setting up an organizations, and even the big corporate, think of Jupiter big, right? Big corporations like Netflix and Disney and all these big guys are actually coming up, speaking up, and saying, well, we will, if you need to have an abortion, we will pay for your travel expenses. Well, look at that, Mercury and Venus in the sign of Gemini, here's some help with travel expenses, and this connection over something of a legal matter. So it's a perfect example, assisting with travel. Like I said, certainly we can use it for and we're going to need it, you know, to connect and play and be curious and lean into maybe other points of view or other mindsets, and really trying, you know, to an attempt to not keep everything divided. You know, Venus is the ambassador that wants to unite people. And Venus in Gemini is saying, hey, you know what? It's okay to think like somebody else. If you're across the ideological viewpoints, say, are on reproductive rights, you know, like consider other sides, consider the side that you're, quote, against, if you are, and just being open-minded, I would say, to reach across the table and listen, because division will just is not the answer, right? So the thing that is difficult for this new moon is that Mars, as you can see here, Mars is in a square, transiting Mars's moon line, it's squaring Pluto and Capricorn. As you can see, we're exactly in 27 degrees. It's natal Pluto is retrograde for the USA, and we are Pluto retrograde also right now at the same degree, 27 degrees. So we are in the, yes, baby. Yes, I know. Yes, Lucas. Yes, I know. He's like, okay, this is my siren. He goes, yeah, like, I guess, do you want them to listen to this? Okay, baby, hold on a second. There we go. Say hi on camera. Yes, baby. Hello, baby. There, baby. Okay. Say just, Lucas says, hello. Oh, okay. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. I don't need that throat. Okay. So, yeah, it's so funny. Such a character, right? You don't say anything all day, and now with him, mommy's on record. But anyway, like I was saying, that Mars, that's the pressure cooker that we all want to be aware of. Now, this is when Mars squares Pluto, that's not a jolly easy time. All right. It's like a pressure cooker. The Pluto and Capricorn is that pressure cooker of, say, buried emotions and traumas and things from, gosh, you know, miasms from collectively the pain body of humanity as it has endured a patriarchal, you know, capitalist driven, like the dark side of capitalism and the dark side of patriarchy and all of that colonialist, you know, oppression, and how that is all being stirred up, secrets amongst, you know, people who are at high levels. And so Mars in Aries is saying, no, we're not going to take that anymore. And so this, you know, could that have a violent aspect? Yes, it could. However, how do we use that energy powerfully? Well, you can use it to transform. Instead of fighting and arguing, it's like there's enormous potential in that volcanic Pluto to take this pain body and transmute it into something. The poison becomes the healing, right? So, for example, with Pluto and Capricorn, you know, I have a friend that told me that her family is her brother and sister-in-law are going to be visiting her for the July 4th weekend, and they haven't been to her house, and they live on the other side of the country, and they haven't been to her house in, like, you know, years apparently. And so she's kind of like trepidation about it, like, oh my God, you know, what are we going to do? And I'm kind of feeling a little nervous. And I said, you know what, just be yourself. And I would also say that speaking from the heart and standing up for your light and for what you see as possible with your family, if you are getting together, because this is going to be really tight right through this week into the weekend. We'll feel it very strongly over this July 4th weekend. So, you know, you want to use this, you know, what I was saying in the last podcast, you know, don't play with fireworks. Like, this is not the weekend to be messing around. Don't play with fire. And don't play with, you know, fireworks. It's just not a good plan. But if you look at that symbolically, there is fire. What is that? Light wanting to be revealed, like the Pluto, the volcanic, you know, the pressure cooker with lava inside that wants to explode. And Mars could be like playing around with that match on gasoline. So yeah. Not that you taunt and you don't want to be rude and aggressive in the low Mars, you know, but you can, you know, being a conscious being, saying, wow, what can I do? What role can I play to to create transformation with my family, to heal old wounds and subconscious patterns that have been in the way. Because with Mars in that square, it's very much going to show us, you know, what are old patterns that are really past their expiration date? What are old patterns that are just done, you know? So every time Mars conjuncts, opposes, or squares Capricorn, you know, when Mars is in a cardinal sign, it's going to do this dance. It's been doing it for, you know, 14 years now. It went in 08. Pluto went into Capricorn in 08. So we are in the final stages of this Pluto transit through the sign of Capricorn. It'll be out next year, you know, it'll go into Leo. I'm sorry, it'll go into Aquarius, and it'll backtrack a little bit into Capricorn. So but it's in its death throes, this kind of, you know, controlling, the paradigm of control, and, you know, and, you know, high men in power that have, you know, controlled women and have controlled just the masses. You know, billionaires owning more and more of the planetary wealth and squeezing out everybody underneath. You know, this is not a sustainable situation. So all of this is what's changing. And Mars this weekend in Aries leading the charge, you know, to say, you know what, we can cut, right? Mars is about cutting away. We can cut ourselves loose from this, whatever, you know, the repressive structures that have kept us back, that have manipulated us subconsciously, maybe not meaning to, but it's there, or like our family's not meaning to do harm, but it's an unconscious situation. So Pluto is very much about the unconscious. So I would say, you know, if you are going to get together with your family or friends or whatever, or even if you're not, there's this opportunity to observe and to heal these patterns. And when we come out the other side, we're like, oh my God, it's new. You know, the green grass is so vibrant after a volcano erupts. So it's not like, you know, oh, don't say anything, don't rock the boat, you know. Well, I would say rock it with your heart, you know, don't rock it with your mind. Don't get into arguments. It's very easy to go there to want to be right, you know, Mars and Aries, right? But what we can move beyond that. And so use that opportunity, hopefully, you know, use it wisely, because it can give great results. It doesn't have to be a war breakout. There's one other thing I'll say about that is, it takes 2 years for Mars to go through a sign, right? To come around to Mars return. The last time Mars was at 29 Aries, judging was the Capitol riots. So I thought, I don't know when their hearings are going to finish, but it would be interesting if it finished right at the same point it was when the riots took place. That's an interesting kind of cosmic justice, the hearings on Capitol Hill. Also, what's interesting is, and here's a great example of astrology. Oh my goodness. When that happened, I'm gonna call this out. Okay, when that happened, that was at the US chart. We had Mars was at 29 Cancer the day of at the very, very last minutes, like 58 minutes, 59 minutes of Aries. Like I said, right, it was violent. However, you know, we also had Jupiter over that. Was interesting. I don't want to pull up the chart, but I'm just going to say that there was an asteroid. There's an asteroid called Pholus, Pholus, and it's about, I've talked about it many months ago. And in the USA chart, Pholus, which is about the lid comes off and there's like all hell breaks loose. Well, it was activated that day. I think it was Jupiter was right on Pholus, which is also conjunct the south node of the USA. So that was just a real powder keg ready to go off, right? And there it was. Other places too, of course, but that was interesting. But here's what I want to say. The interesting thing was to watch a planet change signs and to see the characteristics accordingly change. of what is being experienced on the planet. So when Mars was 29 degrees of Aries, the people stormed, revolution, chaos, blah, blah, blah. And if you remember, like, do you remember that guy with the horns? He had like the Viking, you know, the big horns, and he was carrying a spear or a flag as a spear or something, you know, it was just all the, right? And he had that, like I want to say he was wearing, like, it looked like a Viking, like he had a bear skin or something. Yeah, it was this iconic photo. Well, there it was, right? Mars and Aries. And then I remember for hours and hours, it was like, when is this going to end? It was on TV, and you see, you know, why are these people still swarming? The police couldn't get a handle on it. When Mars went into 0 degrees of Taurus, what, 5:30 something p.m., that's the exact moment when the police came in and cleared everybody out, and they peacefully left. Yes, they were creating chaos, but then they all left. And that's when Trump said, go home in love and peace. That's what he told the protesters. Well, Mars had entered into Taurus, which is Venus's temple, which is all about love and peace. It's like crazy. So I never forgot that. You talk about the power of astrology, and Mars in Taurus is considered in its detriment. It's in exile. So this is not a comfortable place for Mars. It's like sticking, you know, Rambo in a Laura Ashley bedroom with ruffles and lace. It's like, oh, I don't really operate very well here. Yeah, well, all those guys with their guns and spears and having, you know, dead people were lying there, right? It was pretty awful carnage. But the fact that they retreated in a quiet, relatively quiet manner. So just to say, yeah, watch what happens when Mars goes into that point. Let me see when it exactly enters Taurus. Just a second. Okay, it's July 5th, 2:04 a.m. in the Eastern time. So it'll be a little after 11 p.m. on July 4th on the Pacific coast. So it gives you an idea. So we again, you know, let's just use Mars and Aries in its final degrees to stand for some truth and for regeneration, and to carve a new path of a government and a society and a structure and a family unit structure and a societal structure and the structure of our own reality into renewing and embracing ourselves, such that we can regenerate and purify any darkness and shadow that needs to be expelled. We can boldly and bravely face these dark aspects of ourselves so that we can reprogram ourselves and society at large. That's about how I would put it. So yeah, so there's that. And then I would just say, yeah, so the opportunity for like really profound, you know, where your DNA changes because you've spoken truth to your, like I say, if you have a toxic family environment, that you speak truth and speak it in a profound way that is, you know, centered in the heart and driven by courage and centered in the heart. And being that, remember Venus and Gemini, right? Being open and curious and lighthearted about it is best, you know, using these, you know, just always keeping the light in mind, you know, in the face of some really dark, heavy control situations. You know, we ask ourselves, well, who are we going to be? Now that we know this going in, we can program, and we're on the alert, and we can be consciously creating what we want. You know, what do we want to come out of an uncomfortable situation? The bravery to go into it, but knowing that it clears the air and it reprograms, and it clears, my goodness, this will clear DNA, you know, collective DNA, pain body, families and societies. This has that power to completely rewrite and heal and regenerate us on the cellular level. It's really deep. So anyway, that's all. That's what I want to say about the new moon. And so, yes, very much, you know, regenerating, nurturing and healing ourselves, women, the divine feminine in all of us, no matter what gender we express as. It's that sweet, kind, loving part of ourselves that that is really coming to the fore now, right? The old patriarchal ways of control and manipulation and dominance with Pluto and Capricorn are being shown, you know, to us, that so that we can transform them bravely and stand for ourselves and stand for security, the comfort and security and bonding and love as our foundation. So yay. All right, that's all for today. And I hope you have enjoyed this. And please remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm always so grateful for that. It really does help the channel. So yay. All right, wishing you a wonderful week. Play with that Venus and Gemini, go out and play hide and seek. Or if you're dating someone, you know, just have fun with them. Just keep it light and keep it lighthearted. And you never know, the trickster Gemini, you know, Venus and Mercury, and Mercury's trickster temple could have some surprises in store, but all good ones. I wish you all the best. All right, my dears, see you next time. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, starsoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Namaste.